In high school, I was applying for scholarships to pay for college. My parents told me, you want to go to college? That's great. But you need to find scholarships to pay for it. Well, the interesting thing is that I ended up getting a lot of interviews because I could write the essays. But every time I showed up, there was this one other girl, and I knew her. We were family friends. And she kept on showing up at every single interview. And I knew I should be winning these interviews. I should be winning and I should be getting these scholarships. But every time I walked out of that interview thinking I did so great, I would find out 2 weeks later that I didn't get it. And a lot of times she did. So I'm sitting there thinking, what is going on here? And eventually, after losing interview after interview after interview, I finally decided to videotape myself. And I asked my parents to set it up in our family room and videotape me. This was a horrific moment for me because I thought I was conveying this young, energetic guy. But in actuality, this is how I looked on camera. Monotone, no energy, about to fall asleep. Not the way you want to be perceived in an interview for $25,000. So I sat there and decided to go through the painstaking process of improving myself. Videotape, watch myself, do it again. Now, every single one of us knows how much we hate watching ourselves on camera or listening to ourselves recorded. But that was the price I paid if I wanted to succeed in these interviews. And in fact, I am really happy to say that it worked because I ended up paying my entire way through undergrad and grad school at Stanford using the scholarships that I got through these interviews. So what did I learn? I learned that there's something even more important than the words you use. Something so important that it can actually precede you and change the way people think about you before you even open your mouth. And that was the importance of body language. When I had walked in previously, when I had shaken their hand, when I had sat down, I was using body language that I didn't even think about. I was just doing what came naturally to me. Now, natural is good. We want to be natural, but we want to be consciously natural, meaning you've thought about the way that you're being perceived. So how many people do you know where you've ever shaken their hand and they shake your hand like this? It's like they're almost dead. You're like, why are you shaking my hand? Why don't you just go straight to the morgue? We'll save the trouble. Versus someone who comes up and says, hi, nice to meet you. Firm handshake, looks you in the eye, smile. You instantly think differently about that person compared to the other person. Once I cracked the code on the initial parts of body language, it was like discovering a secret power I never knew I had. I could think about how I wanted to convey my key message, and it would be conveyed. It was almost like when you're skiing and you want to turn right, and you just think, turn right, and you turn right. Just like when you ride a Segway and you want to go left, you just think, I'm going to go left, and your body makes it happen. That is what I learned as I got better and better at this. So I want to share with you today something I'm going to humbly call the SATI technique. That's right, my last name. I'm naming my own technique. Don't many people do this, or am I the only one? What I've done with the SATI technique is to pull out the 5 most important body language tweaks. Now, as you can imagine, there are hundreds of things you could potentially do. We could talk about power posing. We could talk about things all day, but we don't need to talk about all those things. These 5 dwarf all the other ones, and this will get you 85% of the way. So let's go through each of these. I'm going to show you how they work. I'm going to show you how to use them strategically, and then I'm going to give you action steps to start using today. Number 1, S, smile. This is something that a lot of people either do too much of or too little of, and it typically falls along gender patterns. So we tend to see women over smiling, and we tend to see men under smiling. What we know is that smiles can be one of the most important assets that you use. You smile when you walk up to someone at the drugstore. You smile when you walk up to buy tickets. You smile when you see a friend. Hey, how's it going? Even if you have to force yourself to smile, it may feel fake to you, may even look fake at first, but that's okay. I have to tell you that when I started practicing my smiles, which I directly attribute hundreds of thousands of dollars of college money to, because I learned how to smile, I have to tell you that it felt very fake. The truth is, I had never really smiled that much before. For Indian culture, men don't really smile. And so it felt really weird for me to have to go, hello, how are you? Like, look at this creepy smile. But I got better. I got more natural. And of course, now I love to do it. Okay, so we know that smiling is important. That's no surprise. How do we do it? How do we apply this strategically? A couple of comments on smiling. And of course, as you can expect, we're going to apply these very soon. Number one, when you greet someone, I want you to smile. I want you to think about the funniest situation you've ever encountered. I want you to think about something that made you crack up. I want you to think about whatever it takes to get that smile. And I want you to allow that smile to fill your face. Notice the difference. This is what I used to do when I would smile. It's not even a smile. And then I actually started to enjoy it. I said, how are you? Way different. You let that smile fill your face as opposed to, that's what I actually used to do. I can't believe it. A smile can be the most disarming, ingratiating asset that you use. Use it strategically, but use it frequently. People love smiles. And in a room full of people who look like this, someone who's smiling is welcoming. That's the person you want to talk to. Now, number two is energy. One of my friends is a frequent speaker, and he got invited onto NPR to do a little segment for them. So he goes into this radio recording room, he puts on the headphones, and he starts reading off this pre-written script that he had prepared for the show. The sound engineer had to stop him multiple times. And do you know what they said to him each time? Pump up the energy. You see, when you're speaking to someone, particularly in front of a camera or on the phone, you're losing dimensionality. But even in person, we see that one of the most common traits of someone who's not socially skilled is to cut down on their energy a lot. Their posture changes like this. Their voice is monotone. And they just don't have energy. Now, I can tell you firsthand the effects of having low energy. Now, this happened not too long ago. I was tired. It was the end of the day, and my mom had left a voicemail, and I had to call her back. So I call her back. It's like 7 or 8 p.m. my time. I'm really tired. I'm sitting on the couch, which always makes me drowsy, and I'm talking to my mom. Now, normally, I have a great conversation with my mom, but this time, I was speaking like this. Oh, so what else is going on? Really bored, boring, not a lot of energy. And you know what's funny? After about 3 or 4 minutes, my mom was like, well, okay, it was good talking to you. Talk to you later. My mom basically hung up on me. And I realized that has never happened before. We always have great conversations. She wants to stay on the line for 45 minutes. She ended the conversation. Didn't know why, but it was because my energy was so low. When you have low energy, people will mirror that. They don't want to be around low energy, and they want to leave. It drains them. People can literally feel being drained as they're around someone with low energy. Just think about it. Think about someone you've been around who talks like this and really doesn't have much to say. Who wants to be around that? I'm not saying you have to be super pumped and razzle-dazzle everyone with your high energy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying energy can manifest itself in many different ways. Notice how sometimes you can speak really fast because there's something exciting you want to talk about. And other times you can take it way back. But in both of those cases, you'll notice that my voice went up and down based around the energy I wanted to convey. Most of us have never focused on our energy. And I want to show you what I mean. Take a look at this video from one of my previous students as we focus on improving energy.
One thing I thought, Ramit, that you did really well was lead the arc of the story with the tone of your voice. So you had everything that was at the beginning and the setup, kind of like, okay, this is what it was like until one day, da 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 da. And that, I think, is something that you could bring more to the front with vocal variety.
Chris, can you give me a vocal variety right now? Let's do one about, I went to this place in San Francisco and it was totally not what I expected and I was surprised. Just say that back to me and use emotions in your voice.
Exact. Could we pick a place? Maybe one that I like?
Yeah, go ahead. We're getting real specific here.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, because otherwise I'm never going to be able to
Good.
connect to that.
Go ahead.
Oh man, nobody's ever heard this before. This is the first time that anyone will hear me show any vocal variety. So I went to this place. I cannot believe how difficult this is for me. I went, oh my God.
Go ahead, it's all right.
I'm just trying to think of a real place to summon this real emotion.
Disney World.
I like coffee, so. You know, I went to Blue Bottle this week.
Okay.
It was amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, really?
Yeah, the coffee is unreal.
Which one, like the one in the Mission?
No, I went to the one in Mint Plaza.
All
They
right.
have the crazy old-time drip system.
Yeah?
Delicious.
What was so good about it? I thought it was like disgusting when I went.
That's because you don't have good taste in coffee.
Oh, you might be right. You might be right. Well, what was good about it?
So the flavors are so rich. I mean, you have berries on one side, and you know it's kind of earthy, but not in a bad way, in a clean way. It's just really delicious.
Dude, that was awesome. Was it awkward to force yourself to that level of energy?
A little. I was pumping it up.
Okay, and interestingly, did anyone feel like that was awkward from their perspective? No. Did it feel way better?
Yeah.
Look at that.
I felt. Yeah.
Yeah. What you think is awkward is totally normal to other people. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so awesome job.
All right, what'd you notice about that? With Chris, my number one piece of advice is it's okay to be excited. I used to be really excited about things, but I wouldn't represent it. So people would leave after interviewing me for certain things, and I would find out later from feedback they left, they would say, guy doesn't seem very interested or eager. In my head, I was like, I'm so eager! But I was representing myself like this. So as we saw from that video, it's okay to be excited. Let your curiosity, your eagerness, your excitement shine through, and let your energy go just a little bit up. It makes all the difference in the world. Number 3, T, talk slower. I was notorious for speaking way too fast. So fast that nobody could understand me, especially when you factor in the fact that I have a weird name that no one can really understand. So when I say, hi, my name is Ramit Sethi, people are like, way too fast to process. And I still have people that I know who will start talking about these really complicated things like business or what's going on in their life. And they're speaking so fast, you can't even process it. And I always use the mom test here. I say, look, I can process things pretty fast, but how would my mom react if she were hearing this? My mom would not keep up. She would just be wondering what's going on here. And if my mom is not going to be able to keep up, I'm not keeping up, nobody's keeping up. So what they do is they just start doing polite things like, that's so interesting, because you're not connecting. I want to show you a video of the dramatic change that speaking more slowly can have. Take a look.
I want you to tell me this story, and I'm going to set up a little scenario.
Okay.
Let's pretend that, actually, let's just make it this situation. You came here for some career advice. You trust me, and I asked you to share a story about a time when something didn't go the way you planned it. Okay? So why don't you share that story with me?
Okay, so I saw this dream job posting on one of the job posting websites, and when I applied to it, I spent so much time trying to tailor my resume and make sure that my cover letter was very appealing. And when I had been talking to the hiring manager through email, I know I made her laugh, and it was a very good relationship. And when it came time for the phone interview, I was so confident and I was ready because of the email exchange that we had done. But when it came to the phone interview, I started to ramble and I wasn't doing so well, and I just and I knew that she was tuning out. So, and I knew from there that I had lost the job and that it was over, and yeah.
Great. Let's
Yeah.
pause there. Do you remember how you ended it?
I said, yeah. I'm so bad at that.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
We're going to talk about that. It's good that you know it.
Okay.
Most people don't even know that they're terrible at ending stories. I was horrible at it until I actually got media training one time.
Okay.
And this was because I asked my publisher to pay for it. And it was miraculous. They forced me to go on camera, and they taught me how to convey key messages very succinctly. And at the end, we spent hours watching me on video, and then we did it again and again and again. And I learned how to take, I can stretch a story out for 5 minutes, or I can compress it to 30 seconds. But one thing I learned is how to end that story. Like with that kind of concision, with that kind of focus, instead of saying, so yeah, right? Which is something we all struggle with. Okay, I want you to tell me the same story, but I want you to slow it down by 50%.
Okay.
So just to show you an example, instead of me going and telling a story about how I went to the store and talk like this, I'm going to tell a story about how I went to the store and I talked like this.
Okay.
Same thing, same story, everything the same, 50% slower.
Okay. So I found my dream job on a job posting website, and I was super excited about it. It was everything I wanted. It was in the food industry.
Stop, you're going too fast.
Damn.
Try it again. 50% is really slow. Try it again.
Okay. I found my dream job on a job posting website, and I was really excited because it was everything that I'd ever wanted in an industry that I loved and with a company that had a great product. When I applied for the job, everything went well. I was emailing the hiring manager back and forth. She seemed to really like me. I really opened up to her, and we had a great conversation. Finally, when it was time to go into the phone interview, I was so nervous. I had rambled on. I had put that company on a pedestal, and because of that, I got really nervous and kind of really lost the interview that way.
How'd you feel about that one?
Much better.
Why?
Because I ended it better.
Yes, you did.
And it was slower. It was slower.
Way slower. Did it feel weird to you?
A little at first because I'm used to talking fast, but
yeah. So basically, the number one challenge for you, which I've discovered in 0.5 seconds of talking to you, is you talk really fast.
yeah.
And that's fine when you're with your friends.
Yeah.
But if you study people who speak with high competence triggers, men in particular, watch the president speak, watch any athletes speak, actors, they speak extremely slowly.
Key insights from that video: slow it down, way down, enunciate. What you think is way too slow for others is actually perfect. Play with the concept, you'll see what I mean. Number 4, H, hands. You wouldn't think this would be that big of a deal, but I have to tell you, I obsessed over it. And to some extent, I still wonder what to do with my hands when I'm talking to people, especially in different situations. Like when you're sitting down, what do I do with them? Do I put them here? Do I put them here? Do I put them, what am I doing? And when you're standing, it's a whole nother game. Are they in my pockets? What if you are wearing a skirt and that skirt doesn't have pockets? Do you cross your arms, but crossing your arms is supposed to be bad? It's all these questions that we ask. And it's such a tactical thing that I normally would not include it in the 5 most important body language tweaks. But I actually discovered that knowing what to do with your hands is incredibly important because most of us don't think about it. And we certainly don't test different ways to use our hands. So sometimes as we're standing, our hands fall limply next to our side. One thing you'll see very commonly, especially at bars, is this: people guarding themselves by holding their bottle or drink right in front of them. Now, it's not as drastic as you would think. It's not like you're not going to go up and talk to someone just because they're going like this. But it certainly does convey a certain image compared to someone who's a little bit more open with their body language. What I learned was you can use your hands strategically. And you can feel a lot more comfortable about them too. So typically, keeping your hands here is nice. It's comfortable. You can also play around by having one hand in your pocket. You can also play around by gesticulating a little bit more. Most of us don't really move our hands as we're speaking, even though it actually adds a lot more impact. See how it's working right now? But most of all, I want you to start noticing where your hands are going to go for you. Now, notice what I just said. Some people actually feel really comfortable with their hands behind their back. You'll notice this in certain cultures in particular. We've all seen Italians being very expressive with their hands. Now, notice what I'm telling you. I'm telling you to experiment to see what works best with your hands. Maybe one hand in your pocket is great, but most guys watching this probably tend to default to keeping both hands in your pockets. Get them out, start using them, and make your hands work for you instead of being mere appendages. 5 is eye, for eye contact. Look, we had to make a few changes to make this thing fit my name. What am I going to say? What I learned as I started to focus on body language was that I didn't know what to do with my eyes. First, I would meet someone and I'd go, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Oh, that's very interesting. Tell me more." And I would stare at them like an ultra creep. And after a while, they're like, "This guy is freaking me out." What was I doing? I was staring for too long, too intensely, and people got weirded out. The good news is you can quickly pick up on this. If you are staring at people too much, like this, they're going to quickly show you with their body language. They're going to lean back, they're going to go like this, etc. On the other hand, when I speak to a lot of students that I meet for the first time, one of the things that's very difficult for me to relate to is they look away. So I'm trying to have a conversation with them. They came up to me and they're looking over here as they're talking or as I'm speaking. And I'm like, am I not as interesting as I thought I was? This person is not even looking at me as I'm speaking to them. That's the other end of the spectrum. So we have creepy stare over here and we have not even looking on the other end. You want to find a nice balance. Now, there are a lot of recommendations out there. Look at one eye for 5 seconds, blink, look at the other eye, blink, look at the mouth. There's many different approaches. What I would suggest is twofold. First, I want you to study what other people who make you feel comfortable do. So watch their eyes. Could be as they're speaking to you, could be as they're speaking to other people. Just notice what they do with their eyes. You'll notice some very interesting things. For example, these highly socially skilled people don't just continue staring at you for 45, 50, 60 seconds, 10 minutes. They look away, they smile, they'll take a look at what's in their hand. They'll do all kinds of things, but they'll come back to you. That is something you can learn and something you can try. Which brings me to my second point here about eye contact, is experiment. You can try looking at people for 5 seconds or 10 seconds and see what evokes the best response. Eye contact is one of the 5 most important body language tweaks, and that's why I included it here. Now, we've covered the 5 body language techniques that I found to be most influential in improving the way I was perceived. Again, there are hundreds of things you could do, but no one wants to be overwhelmed or focus on minutia. We want to focus on the 5 that dwarf all the rest and just perfect those. Now, I'll tell you something else interesting. Getting started with body language, it's normal to feel overwhelmed and to feel weird. What am I doing with my hands? Oh my God, are they looking in my eyes too much? Am I looking at their eyes too much? Am I talking too fast? Da, 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 da. And suddenly you have a million different mechanical issues that you're concerned about. I know, I had the same exact thing happen. I'm sitting over here trying to worry about my hands, but then I'm like, am I speaking too fast? Is my energy right? Did I smile in the last 34 seconds? It doesn't feel natural. But this is part of the process as we get better. The good news is you can do it step by step. Imagine a master mechanic. They're sitting there, they're in their sweat-stained overalls, they got this dirty rag, and they've got a 1957 Chevy in their garage. They're fixing it. They're repairing it. Now, what do? Do they just tear apart the whole car at once? No. They lovingly take piece by piece, pull it out, examine it, repair it, and when they're ready to put it back in, they spit on that dirty rag, polish it, look at it in the sun, say yes, and put it right back in. Piece by piece. You can work each of these things piece by piece. You don't have to try to do them all at once. We're in no race. We're here to get this right and to get the fundamentals right. So you can work on your smile for the next 10 days. You can switch it up, then come back to the smile. And you will notice that as you put these pieces together, it will get much easier and everything will start to fit together very, very well. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't try to do it all at once. Don't do what I did, which was to do the smile and the arms and everything at the same time. Just take it step by step. I'm giving you permission to slow it down. And when you do, you will find the results will be that much more remarkable. Body language matters. It matters because just like in a restaurant where you don't see all the chefs and all their pedigrees behind the scenes, all you see is that plate of food. All people see when they first meet you, before they even hear you open your mouth, all they see is your body language. Are you standing there with a scowl on your face and your arms crossed? Are you standing there openly, smiling and saying, "Hi, nice to meet you"? Your body language precedes you. And therefore, if you can master your body language, you can automatically control the perceptions of what people think about you. This is an extremely powerful, almost superpower-like ability that you can have as you start to master it. We also learned about the invisibility cape, that you may have anxiety, you may feel really shy or nervous, but no one can see that. All they can see is your behavior. So if you put on an invisibility cape, if you shield all these barriers and hide them away beneath the cape, all they see is you saying, "Hi, I'm Ramit, nice to meet you." So we've focused on behavior, which will lead to attitude, a totally counterintuitive way to do things. And we've also focused on body language. So important and almost a superpower-like ability once you master it. Now I want you to pause here just for a minute and look back at yourself from 1 week ago. Just 1 week ago. What do you notice? You notice that we've learned the perfect words don't really matter. In fact, we've taken these very common phrases. "Hi, how are you doing this morning?" "Hi, I don't think we've met. I'm Ramit." And we've experimented and tweaked and shaped the contours to see what really gets a great reaction. We've also learned about the SATI technique, the 5 most powerful body language tweaks that you can employ. And now we're going to talk about how to apply these so you can improve your body language. Your action step for this week is to use at least one of these body language techniques every day. I want to work through these exactly with you. So Monday, I want you to smile. Smile at least 3 times in places where you ordinarily would not. When you go to get your coffee, when you go to pick up your mail, whatever it may be. Tuesday, I want you to focus on your energy. Whatever your baseline energy is, I want you to double that energy. Notice the reaction you get. Wednesday, I want you to focus on talking slower. Take your speed, cut it in half, and watch the reaction. Thursday, think about where your hands go. Notice, are they in your pockets? Can you get them out? Can you move them broadly? And finally, Friday, eye contact. Good way to think about this. What color are the eyes of the person you're talking to? Get to work. I want to know how it goes as you apply each of these.